And on today's episode of Boy, Am I Not the Right Person to Talk About This, I brought Sarah to talk about it. So,
Hi.
all right. I'm going to be straight. This is not for me. Like right off the bat.
You don't like mid-century period pieces?
It's more like I'm going to try to be nice. Uh, I don't really care about rich British white people arguing about rich white people things.
Fair enough. A while back, after the first movie came out I think in 2019, one of my favorite YouTubers, Renegade Cut,
I've seen that video.
did a video essay calling it Aristo trash, which there is a valid point to that.
It kind of is, though. I don't know. I'm trying to be nice. I know it's got a fan base.
Yes, I'm a big fan. I love the soap opera-y aspects. I love that it's a 20th century period piece. I love that sort of glance into a time that I could not bear witness to in real life for obvious reasons. I mean, I'm old, but I'm not that old.
Harry, you're not old. Shut up.
Thank you. I like the character dynamics. I like the dry, witty humor for fans of the series and the first movie as well. Maggie Smith's character and the actress who plays Isabel Crawley. I think the actress's first name is Penelope. I don't remember her last name. She also she's a British character actress. She's been in a lot of stuff, including David Tennant's Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
Her character in Downton Abbey and Maggie Smith's character had a lot of witty jabs at each other, a lot of fun repartees. So in this movie, I appreciated her line, "I'll have to find a new sparring partner."
I just assumed they were lesbians.
I mean, I would totally ship them, absolutely, but no, for the record, they're not.
I don't believe that. I'm gonna be honest. I'm sure, like, publicly they say they're not, but those two have totally fucked.
No, they haven't. They are each other's sparring partners and confidants.
Yeah, they're sparring partners, all right.
I mean, Maggie Smith's character was a widow of an aristocrat, and Mrs. Crawley was the mother of the love interest in the first season, or the same actor who played Legion on the series Legion.
Yeah, I know.
So talking more directly about this movie, I acknowledge it is very much made for the fans. It has a lot of nods and callbacks and to the series and the previous movie. It kind of picks up not too long after where the last movie left off. It kind of ties up the few loose ends that were still left after the series finale and the 2019 movie. I recently rewatched the series in preparation for this
Was that only
movie.
2019? I thought it was older for some reason. But
No, came out in 2019. That was one of the ones that I was still able to come up to San Jose to do with you.
yeah, I remember recording the review, but I remember reviewed it on campus. So I think I just like associated with like the college years.
We picked that as a meeting point.
Yeah, I remember now, but at this time, I don't know. My brain just weird association. I don't know. I remember liking the last one fine.
Yeah.
This was definitely a case of this did not need to be 2 hours long. There's no reason for this to be 2 fucking hours long, especially like if you just cut out all the repetitive conversations, you could have cut out easily a half hour of this.
I mean, the whole silent movie subplot, while it was fun and it kind of reminded me of Singing in the Rain a little bit, that whole glance into turn of the century early Hollywood. I acknowledge that subplot may not have been necessary, or may have been a little more stretched out. They do jam pack basically a season's worth of developments into a 2-hour movie.
Well, that's not even what I'm talking about, though. It's more like they'll have conversations, and then there's another conversation immediately afterwards to discuss the subtext of the previous conversation.
Well,
and that happens a lot. I don't know. It means like that goes into show don't tell kind of territory. Like very early on, they have like Maggie Smith's characters talking about like, oh, go talk about a mysterious past, and then immediately afterwards, they're like, let's talk about a mysterious past. Here's exactly what that scene meant. All right, moving on. And that happens a lot through the entire movie, and it does get really old. I'm just kind of like, I already know this. I just saw this happen. I don't need it regurgitate to me again. I can pick up the subtext. So it feels overwritten to that extent for me.
For a movie, yes, that is a fair critique. Now, if this would had been stretched out to a 7-episode series, then it probably would have been paced better. But
probably, I don't know.
Which I think may have been a little bit more what they were used to, since this is only the second film in the franchise.
I mean, as far as I know, this is all just written by one guy, right?
Yes. Yeah. The same guy who wrote Gosford Park, which was kind of an unofficial test pilot for Downton Abbey.
I figured. I don't know. It's definitely like, for one, this genre is just not the stuff I usually enjoy, and that's not a knock on the genre in general. That's not saying that movie's even bad. So like any critique is more like, it's just not for me. It's really what it boils down to. I'm not the target demographic for this. I'm not the person that's gonna go out of my way to go watch Downton Abbey. I think I tried watching a couple episodes because my ex was into it, and I just could not get into it.
The first season kind of kicks into gear, I'd say around episode 3. So if
I don't know, even then, like the style and the character drama and all that just does not mesh with me. I don't like this version of storytelling. It just doesn't work for me. Again, that's not a knock against it. I'm not saying it's bad if you like it. It's just, it's not what I prefer in entertainment. And especially when you go into like large sections of this movie in particular, where just like, oh, they're arguing about like a villa in France. I'm like, oh my God, I don't care.
Although I did really like Maggie Smith's line when her relatives ask her, did you think of turning it down? And she just says point blankly in true Dowager Countess fashion, do I look as if I would turn down a villa in France?
Sure. And like, that's a decent line in and of itself. And like that, again, that's not,
and delivery as well.
Yeah, like Maggie Smith's a good actress. She knows what she's doing.
Yes.
But it's also like, then we spent a good third of the movie about rich people arguing about real estate. I'm like, I could care less if you get the villa or not. You're all rich. You have homes you never need for the rest of your lives.
Well, the descendants that Maggie Smith's character bequeaths the villa to, for various plot reasons that are mentioned in the movie or alluded to from previous entries in the franchise. Her great granddaughter was not going to have her own piece of property. So it was actually very sweet and thoughtful of Maggie Smith's character to bequeath it to her great granddaughter.
I guess that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is like, oh, it's rich people passing off their riches to to more inheritance down the line for this big fuck off house that can house like 20 people for one person. I would argue is like, give her the money to buy a smaller house. That just is fine. You don't need a fucking villa in France. So again, this goes into just rich people problems that I just have no sympathy for whatsoever. And like, there's just a lot of that general tone, like even with the whole silent movie thing, there's like, oh, we can't have them move here. What would the Poors think?
That's what Carson, the butler's reaction was.
It's repeated by multiple people. It's not just him.
He was the most verbal about it.
He's the most verbal about it, but it's a very common sentiment, and obviously, like the whole like reputation of the rich people is very important in this film to all the characters, and this and that. And I don't know. I have a hard time getting on board with any of it because it just feels like, oh my God, it's like, I get you're supposed to be the good rich people, but I have a hard time just being invested in that storyline. I like the guy who played Guy. I thought he was perfectly charming.
He was, and I was so happy that that Thomas finally got his happy ending. Well, as happy of an ending as 1920s would allow for.
Yeah, I think it's one of the few storylines I legitimately got invested in. It's like, okay, cool. This one doesn't feel need to explain it to me, so yes. I kind of appreciate that.
Yes, and I liked at the end when he turned in his notice and Lady Mary wished him well and all the happiness that this cruel world would allow.
Yeah, sure.
Which is pretty enlightened for a aristocrat of the early 20th century England.
Sure. I don't really have an opinion on that, to be honest. But anyway, why don't you talk about things you liked about it instead of listening to this old hater? Go for it. Half the floor.
I liked that the like I said, various loose ends got tied up. Like at the very end, I liked that the characters of Mr. Mosley and Miss Baxter finally became official, because in the series they had a rapport and flirtation, and so I was the only one in my theater who when he proposed, I uttered finally. It's like, because a fan like myself anyway, the mindset was, well, that's been a while coming, so I'm glad they included that. I thought it was a funny touch that due to the placement of the movie microphone, how everybody in the house overheard the conversation and therefore the proposal. One person in my theater, I heard her say "rip" when he kneeled down, because usually awkward things happen to the character of Mr. Mosley. So I think one of my audience members was expecting his pants to rip when he got down on one knee to propose. Okay. Mercifully, that didn't happen. So I thought it was cool that he was offered for 1929 a lot of money to basically write scripts for Hollywood, which it's nice that he could do that remotely and keep his teaching job. So I enjoyed things like that. I enjoyed similarly that Mrs. Padmore and Daisy's father-in-law, Mr. Mason, got that they finally coupled up, because towards the end of the series they had been sweet on one another but hadn't officially done anything about it. I've always loved the world of of Downton Abbey. It's kind of like Hearst Castle. It's beautiful and lavish and extravagant. It's kind of like going to a museum through the lens of film, seeing all these furnishings and a foreign way of life, at least to a lower middle class individual like myself. Mm-hmm. I liked the 1920s music dance party that they had on their last night in France. I liked the scenery. I always liked Maggie Smith's or Dowager Countesses and Mrs. Crawley's repartees. Spoiler alert, Maggie Smith's character passes away in this one, which it's impressive the character lived that long. I mean, she lived long enough to meet her great grandchildren, which is pretty impressive. Not all grandparents get to do that. So there's one scene towards the end when the Dowager Countess, Maggie Smith's character, is on her deathbed, and her maid is sobbing and whimpering, and her last words are something like, "Tanker, stop that noise! I can't hear myself dying." So barbs till the end, which I very much appreciated. If you stick with it, the series, there is a lot of beautiful scenery and romantic moments to be enjoyed, but I understand that that's not your thing.
Not particularly. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of just like, it's one of those shows where a lot of like any genuine criticism you have like against these people and their lifestyles is very quickly shut down. Even in this movie, there's a point one character brings up where it's like, yeah, this is kind of like appropriation a bit, the British people coming here and take a French villa, and then everyone's like, oh, shut up, is basically what they say. And then later on he says like, well, I'm glad our granddaughter will have some place to live. It's like, see, you're gonna come around after all, like, now you do understand capitalism. So like shit like that, it's very apologetic, it's very just dismissive. It's very much like, oh, they're just like us, and I just can't get behind that. And I'm not saying like that makes it bad. Well, I guess that is kind of what I'm saying. I'm not saying that people shouldn't like it.
I've never thought that the Crawleys are just like us. I kind of see it as a fantasy world I enjoy escaping into.
Sure, but it is a fantasy world that wants to portray these kind of people in a very specific way, and I think that does kind of send a message. I think that's something to be aware of. Again, kind of like what the Renegade Gut video was talking about.
Yes, and I acknowledge that. I'm not saying I'm going to take any of what they espouse to heart.
No.
It's just a fluffy, soapy piece of entertainment that
okay. Let me define a couple
that brings
things.
Me joy.
Really quick, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying you're bad if you like this show. I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm not saying that you're any less if you do enjoy or you get something out of it for whatever reason that may be. I'm saying here's why I can't get into it. Here's the thing about that bothered me personally that makes it impossible for me to really get into this. That's what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha.
So don't take it as personal attack to you or any other Downton Abbey fans. These are things that I just can't get over.
Yeah, because as a fellow cinephile, I would like to think that I individually am capable of recognizing the flaws in a piece of art or media and still being able to derive pleasure from consuming it.
Totally. Like, I mean, I have like plenty of junk food, for God's sake. So, but it's not the. For me, I guess I would rather go to Burger King than Olive Garden. I mean, that's what it is.
My mom never let me try Olive Garden. She said it tasted like cardboard.
It's a joke to be made there. I'm going to be nice. But yeah, so like, again, I'm clearly not who this movie is for. And if this is your trash, good on you. I hope you can parse out the obvious bullshit. But again, that's up to you. I'm not going to judge anyone for like this movie. I think this movie's perfectly fine overall for what it's trying to be. I can't say it's objectively bad. I can't say it's objectively good. It just is, for me, it's just bleh. It's there. It exists. I'm sure people who invested in these series and the characters will get a lot out of it. Myself, I don't see myself ever getting invested in this.
And I'll say that if you're not already an established fan of this series, or if it's something that does not interest you, then this film will be lost on you, and that is perfectly fine. There's plenty of stuff to go see. If you are a fan, then this movie was very much made with you in mind, and will at least I left my theater feeling good. So if you're a fan, it is a lovely feel good film.
Okay, well, I'm gonna take your word on it, since you are the experienced fan in this exchange and I'm not. Take that for what it's worth, guys. Make up your own mind about it. Yeah, I think at this point our points are more than clear. Mm-hmm. So I am going back. I keep saying I'm in catch-up mode, but I feel like catch-up mode never ends. So I'm just gonna say
that's how I feel like adult life is.
I'm just gonna say I'm in a mode. I'm in a mode where movies will be watched when they are watched. So I was gonna see Men today. I didn't get to because other things came up, but I will see it tomorrow. Then I go to Maverick came out. I still gotta watch that. The Bob's Burgers, I gotta go watch that. The new Cronenberg movie, which I'm just gonna assume Muha is gonna want to do, comes out next week.
Which one is the Cronenberg movie again?
It's like something future. Hold on, I can look it up.
I've been meaning to see Men for a few weeks, but I keep not getting around to it. I'm gonna try to see it on the day after tomorrow.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things about it, so I'll be very curious to see where I land on that spectrum. No, not Morbius. Crimes of the Future. That's what it is. Which I heard some people have walked out of and some people adore. So it's one of those divisive movies. It's gonna be great.
Interesting. I haven't seen Maverick yet either. I'm trying to rewatch the first Top Gun. I'm about halfway through it. It starts off really boring.
I've never seen it. I just know that it involves planes going whoosh and very homoerotic volleyball games. That's
which was inserted in as a studio note so they could get Tom Cruise shirtless for the female audience members.
Probably the main reason that it's still popular today. For the homoerotic undertones. Not
that's Tarantino's theory.
That's totally not. But anyway, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. So I'm gonna do my best to get to everything as fast as humanly possible. I'm trying, guys. It's been hard. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see y'all next time. Take care.